If it's knowledge, humour, or a different perspective that you seek, look for the wisdom in the words that we speak. Words and wisdom. We'll let you decide.
Welcome back to Words and Wisdom podcast. I don't know why I'm coming in with all that energy because I'm feeling tired today. I had the sexy time, and I promote semen retention, so there's the truth and the reality of it. Welcome to the podcast where we question the constraints of society's conditioning. We ask the questions with no answers. Well, Mikey likes to do that. And hopefully give you some tools and techniques to take away to deal with your trials and tribulations.
Whew. And we are experts in nothing at all other than the field of ourselves, and with that we aim to help you on your journey. So come on, Zach, what are we talking about today, buddy?
Right, we're going to go with the new format of how we're doing the podcast, and for now, see how it goes, and we're going to have a bit of a catch-up. I've been having some thoughts, maybe you've been having some thoughts, and we're going to get those out, explore them, and then we've got a topic that we are going to get onto today, and we're going to be talking about nihilism and nihilistic ways of thinking, because I fell into those myself. So before we get onto that, I've got a few things that I've wrote down that have come to my head throughout the week, and I thought that would be really good to talk about with Mikey, because he's my counsellor. So I wrote down, I was having a thought, and these days we kind of we send so many text messages to each other, especially through lockdown. So many text messages, and I can feel it in myself, and I can feel it coming from other people. But we say things like ha 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 ha, lol lol lol, and we put loads of emojis, but we're not actually feeling that emotion. So I feel like what we're doing is we're separating emotion from what we're saying. And I think it's becoming prevalent in people's attitudes towards each other. Like, people are very, no one's got emotion anymore. Everyone's like so fake, and everything feels so fake when people are showing you love or saying something nice. It feels weird. And I'm wondering if that's partly to do because of the emojis, and we're saying things without actually meaning them, and then we can get conditioned into continue doing that.
I do wonder if the emoji is going to be the new form of communication and conversation. Like, we're not going to have to say anything anymore. It's just going to come through an array of emojis. Yeah. But the worst one for me is Rolf. Like, roll on the floor. Did you really roll on the floor laughing? I don't see it.
Ruffle.
I ruffled.
Ruffle.
You definitely didn't.
No, and it's almost like it's just fake, isn't it?
I think it is, but for me, that would be an element of going deep into it and maybe overseeing it in my eyes, because I am that guy. I just but I think I'm very authentic in the moment, and that for me is something I've had to work on, and it's a complete work in progress. And when you're with me, I want to be there. I want to be happy, I want to be friendly, I want to be funny, I want to be engaging.
So why aren't you?
yeah fuck, I knew I was failing all the time. I enjoy people, I really do, and this is what lockdown showed me. This is what the weekend showed me. We had a big semi-festival here, to be honest. I don't know how it turned out to that. It was only supposed to be a busking session, and then we noticed more people. Oh right, these tickets are selling very fast. But we had a great time, and I was in my element, and I think nearly 99.999% of people there were all in their element. And it was just so powerful, and there was no unauthentic moments. Everybody meant it. They were back together, and it was just the right people. Do you know what I mean? I feel I found my tribe. I found a bunch of people that get it, and in that, if I look at the text messages that they send, we probably would have that sort of passive communication. I'm not that bothered about text, man. I don't care anymore. I'll put whatever I need to say in that moment, and I'm getting loads of shit from people going, what, you never text back anymore, you're not doing this. I'm like, dude, I'm out of it. It doesn't make me feel comfortable. I know what your concept was alluding to then, but I can only give you explanation from my circles, my understanding, my spheres, and definitely put ha 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 ha, but it doesn't matter to me.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying with that. I think it is, like, I do overanalyze a lot, and that's something that I've come to the conclusion of recently, is I'm so overactive in my mind, especially recently. I'm failing to live in the present moment so much, and failing to even feel the emotion myself. So maybe it's not the fact that it's everybody else. Maybe it's happening in my world, in myself, and then I'm projecting that out onto everybody else. So, but just continuing what I was just saying. So yeah, recently I've really been trying to live in the present moment. So what I've been doing is I've been switching off all my YouTube stuff that I usually watch, because I got addicted to that, really addicted to that, mate, to the point where
What were you watching? Sorry.
Everything and anything. Russell Brand talking about how the world's going to shit. Then I was watching stuff about fitness and health. I was watching bits of Joe Rogan. But the thing is, boxing, and I was flitting from one to the other, and I wasn't doing it because I was like, oh, I might put a video on. It was like, okay, I'd be brushing my teeth, the video's on. I'd wake up, there's a video on. And it got to the point where what happened was I wasn't enjoying anything in life. I wasn't enjoying my relationship. Like, not to say I don't love her. I just wasn't enjoy. I wasn't enjoying. I wasn't enjoy.
That's a great way of putting it.
And I wasn't enjoying work. I wasn't enjoying even social activities and going out. I wasn't enjoying anything. I was like, this is feeling a bit strange. And I
Saturated.
Well, I was saturated with all the dopamine from the video, because when we watch a video and we listen to something we resonate with, we get a burst of dopamine. It's like a reward. But the problem is, too much dopamine makes you feel numb to dopamine. It's like taking paracetamol every day, and then you get a headache, you take one paracetamol, you can't feel it. And I wasn't feeling dopamine from anything else, and I was burning out. So I've done a bit of you suggested a detox, and I've definitely been doing that over the last few days, and I feel so much clearer. Like, my head feels clearer, I feel more in the moment. Yeah, feeling better.
The detox idea, I did a podcast the other day. I filmed a podcast. It wasn't on my platform. It was a Dr. Bob from America, and he's worked with huge stars all over the world, like musicians and everything, helping them on their gut health. But the first thing when they're looking at toxicity is remove all, eradicate, detox, and then we start implementing. And you'll know that through being a coach and through nutrition. But it's funny because we think of it in nutrition, a detox, and again, you see it in on Instagram. Detoxes are done so wrong. It's just, this is the juice thing for the week, and everyone gets on board a trend and a fad and all that. There's a really good way of doing detoxing, but you've got to seek out professional to do it, and nutritionists. But we don't see it in all the other elements of our life. When we're not feeling good, why not just completely eradicate it and then start adding elements back in? Like, all social media for a while, I went away with Chrissy, took a whole week off, no Wi-Fi, no anything, and then realised, well, I like the Instagram thing because we can promote our business quite well doing that, so we'll add that back in. But we had space and breathing to go, how are we going to use it, how are we going to do it without getting roped into it again? So then we can look at scheduling, and we can look at different ways of introducing Instagram back into our life that doesn't involve scrolling through it like mindlessly. So I think if you are in an unhappy place in life, eradicate, move it all out, get the hell out of there. And then it's not just, oh, that's it then, I can't go back to it. It's just going, right, that didn't feel good. Can I make it? Is it going to be part of my life? Is it going to be helpful? Right, I'm going to do it in this way. And it's worked in my world, man.
And really I think what you do by removing, you build up the willpower and discipline, because at first it's going to be hard. It's like, oh, I want to do the thing that we're talking about. But when you remove, you build willpower, discipline, and then you can create a new relationship with whatever it is, activity. So for me, I can relate that to alcohol. I was drinking lots of alcohol at one point. I removed it completely, and then I created a new relationship with it, and I now have it once a week, one or two bottles at a weekend. That's it for me. And it's the same thing what I need to do, like you just suggested, with the content, with the constant information that's coming in, is remove it all, give myself a chance to think for myself, and then implement it where necessary. Maybe use it to escape, like boxing videos. Just use it to chill out for a little bit.
Because the thing with you, and this is what I do genuinely,
Come on.
and fuck's sake,
the thing with you, Zach,
it's what I enjoy about you, is you want to be in that place of analysing. When you're watching a boxing video even, you want to think of the history of boxing, the future of boxing, whoever wins this fight, who are they going to go on to?
The conspiracies.
How is it going to unravel? What position are they going to go into? And it's a wonderful trait because you build a strong sense of thought out of it. You bring an identity out of it. And I really like exploration. But like in the last episode we did with mind viruses, like we say, it can go on a vehement path of constantly trying to think of the next and the next and the next. And I learned this from you when I was listening to Over Joe Rogan. And, you know, you don't want to become just a product of that. I do like the concept, though, that the reason we go to these people, the Russells, the Joes, the whatever, is because we see such a massive element of ourselves in them. And they're just managing to articulate it so well. You go, oh, finally, somebody. So you're spending time with them because it's a part of you there. But not too much of that time do you want to spend there. And I just went through that just enjoyment, escapism, pure escapism. And when I've got Alexa on, it would always be Philosophize Me, Joe Rogan, somebody. I need to think. What am I going to learn?
Yeah, that's how I was feeling.
And I don't need to be constantly learning, constantly taking on, because you can't do it all the time. So I just go to Louis C.K., I go to some comedians that I really enjoy, and it transformed my life. It transformed a big part of my psyche.
I think it's good to have the aspect of learning and then the aspect of entertainment, you know, like your comedy and stuff like that. But I also think you need silence. I mean, we're trying to become intelligent men by watching this stuff because we're trying to learn, aren't we? But some of the most wise men were people that just sat in caves or just sat and meditated for years and didn't have access to YouTube. So it's like, what makes us think because we've got access to all this information that we become any wiser? It doesn't make...
I think this is a key word or a good word, and it's intent. And I did another podcast I filmed for somebody, but I'm learning so much I really enjoy editing podcasts because I can listen to it back and really soak in what they're saying. And there was a breath worker, Craig Seaton, who lives in Manchester, but he just does breath work. And he was fascinating. And actually you can do active meditation anywhere. So if I've got the intent of I'm going to learn, then that's the time where I go, right, Rogan's on, I'm going to really listen, I'm going to soak in all this information. I've got intent in my life, that's what I want to do. Now my intent is I'm going to purely escape. I'm going to let this moment be meditation for me. So even with a bit of comedy on or a bit of lo-fi music I really get lost in, but if I notice my mind going back to thought, going back to this uncomfortable position, I'll still keep it on, but I allow myself to like check in with myself, go back to my breathing. I think we could do a whole episode on breath work, but
just sit there and breathe at each other for an hour.
Yeah, that's all it is. And now, but obviously there's a lot of science behind it and a lot of ways of doing it, but that's it. My intent is there to, no, this, remember, was my escapism, or this was my meditation, and this is my healing. So because the intent's there, that's what I've got to go back to do. Because you'll notice if you're listening to comedy or whatever, especially the people we probably like listening to, it's very politically driven, it's got a lot of thought invoked in it, there's very clever ways of being, and then you have to keep weighing it up. So it's not always the best way to go to, but in that form of intent, I'm going, no, I'm just here for pure pleasure, pure enjoyment. And I keep going back to that rather than I'm going to decipher what he's saying. Do you know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean,
Have intent.
I know exactly what you mean. I think we work differently in that aspect where you have like micro cycles, I'll call them. So it's like intent of learning, and in the same day it could be. Intent of entertainment. And maybe I need to get more on that. But I think I have macro cycles of like, I'll have a month or two of just pure boom, 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 boom learning. And then I'll have a month where I'm like, hey, my intent for this month is just to stay present. And present not with watching videos, but present with just removing everything. Just be present with nature, be present with silence, be present with people. Go back to the basics. And then once I've done that, I might start implementing a few. And I think I go over like macro cycles, so longer cycles than yourself. We both have the same kind of aspect, but because I'm coming from a thought pattern process of just chilling out at the minute and relaxing and not taking in anything. Like even when you sent me the article last night, I read the first line and I was like, there's too many what ifs, maybes and questions there. I was like, I just want to
that's philosophy for you, brother.
But I was like, I want to come up with my opinion, and I'm tired of other people telling me what I should think and feel. It gets draining. I want to okay, nihilism. We're going to talk about nihilism today as well.
Good segue.
Good segue. But you was like sending me articles, and you were saying these are the types of, you know, nihilism, and you think about it, you thought, okay, so who said it's a type of nihilism? Well, it was Sigmund Freud, or it was one of his compadres, and it's like, well, he had the thought of what it was, so therefore can I not have a thought of what I think it is?
100%.
Or can I not have a thought about something new, and maybe I'll label it and tell everyone they've got it?
Well, yeah. I think that was the consensus of that article, was the polarity of the two. You've got these nihilisms, and inside all that, all ideas can exist because you have your own thought process built from it. So the what ifs and the questionings, we're all saying there's this line of a path to go down, of nihilism being what's the point of anything, nothing's real, nothing's pointful, nothing's got purpose down this side. And then there's another, like the yin and yang, there's another side that's nothing's real, nothing's purposeful, but even that idea itself exists. So how can that exist in something that nothing exists? And it was just it was an interesting spin. It was really a philosophical thought. That's what it was. So I found it really interesting. And when I discovered the word nihilism, probably 4 or 5 years ago, it was when I was in a really bad headspace. I remember building a shed with my dad, and that was my job for the foreseeable, was working around a farm. I had no passion, no thrill, no nothing. And it was just a loop inside my head all the time. I was just like, oh my God, I'm just going to be my dad. Not that it's the worst thing in the world to be, but I am literally just following in his shoes because I've got nothing else to do. And it was there. And I said it to my dad. I was like, what is the point of this? Why are we bothering building a shed to put a load of junk in that has no meaning, and then we just keep using until death? And he's like, you're very negative, aren't you? All the time, just negative moaning. So I needed a minute away from him because we were clearly on very different lines of thinking, and he wasn't going to get me or even attempt to get me, and I wasn't going to get him and attempt to understand what he was saying. So I walked off, and at the time I was listening to more, do you know Ben Coomber podcast? It's like a fitness podcast. I was really into that at the time. But I decided, no, I need to think further. I need to think deeper than body at the minute, because I was all about just body. So I was like, let's go for mind podcasts. Okay, type in mind or soul or whatever. And I found this Philosophize Me. And literally the first episode was on nihilism. And I was like, I don't even know what that word is, but it seems like I need to learn past words I already know through my diction. So I went into it, and in the first 10 minutes they were just explaining me to me. I couldn't believe it. And it was just an idea that's existed for century and century and century of philosophers' discussion. And they're not, the beauty with philosophy, it's the why. It's not this is what this is. It's just they give a word to it so we can sort of have some structure and idea towards it. But they're giving question. They're saying, is life this? Why is life this? What is life? Does it have purpose? And it's just philosophers coming together, and it's just thought. So when they got onto that, they explained the two different types of nihilism. And it kind of meta-programmed a part of me. Genuinely, this was another key podcast, and I couldn't find it the other day. I wanted to go back to it. But what I understood was two different types, where there's a negative nihilism, where you get into this mind cycle of what's the point of anything, nothing has purpose, nothing has meaning, so fuck it all off, in essence. I think I'm modernising Nietzsche back in there.
Yeah, really.
And then there was another philosopher that come forward, but was saying, like, there's also a positive aspect of nihilism, which is nothing has meaning, nothing has purpose. That takes all the pressure away. That makes life beautiful and possible for anything to exist. So you don't have to see it in such a negative light anymore, because you make the purpose, you make the life as wonderful, as gifted, as talented as you want it to be, and you can go off in that line of thought, not having to just adhere to the masses and just do what everyone's doing, because you're creating purpose. And I think that kind of, for me in that moment, was like, that's what I want life to be. I don't want to build sheds and just carry on this. I'm going to make my complete own existence that's never been thought of before. And that's what you were saying then. Why can't I be the decipher? Why can't I be? And that's what I did. I was like, I'm going to make my mind up of what life is.
Do you ever experience any bouts of nihilism, like, you know, because you went through that huge bout of it, you was like, oh, okay. Do you ever wake up or have a day where you're like, you know, the thought comes to your head like, what am I doing? Why am I doing it? For what reason?
100%. I'm human, man, and we shit.
I thought you was like,
we slip into the negative. A good example could be your music. I absolutely love doing it. There's nothing I love finer than creating a track, start thinking of the lyricism and building up, and particularly collaborating and stuff. But then if you put something out and it gets no traction, no attention, no bother, I just thought, well, yeah, that was solely for me, but a lovely part of it is being appreciated for what you do, having value in what you do, and that can send you a little bit back. But I think you do have to, you've got so many ways of looking at life, infinite ways of looking at life, and a nice idea that I heard yesterday was what you should do every morning is wake up and be thankful that you don't have a toothache. And it sounds really strange when you say it like that. You go, oh, not have a toothache. Well, so you wake up now and you go, right, feel your tooth. Oh, that is nice actually. I've got no pain. I know what pain feels like and there's nothing there. And you wake up with this real great sense of gratitude. And it's somebody did this for 365 days of the year, and now that's just ingrained in them to wake up with gratitude built in. And the same with nihilism. When it comes in, you have something that you've decided, I'm going to switch this. I'm going to, as soon as it hits me and impacts me, not to just go, no, it doesn't exist, and become naive to it. You go, right, remember there's other ways of looking at this though. I'm doing something I really enjoy, and I get to flip it on its head. So I don't let it sit in, because you know, the more you sit in and loop with it, and then you think, well, what's the point of having a partner then? And why did I even have a kid?
Yeah,
and
yeah.
You just build up
And
a really
like, yeah, I see what you're saying with
toxic world. So reprogram the way you see it and value it.
So I'll give you what, because I experienced bouts of nihilism. And mine was, it started Friday night when the football was on. And I just finished with client calls around 7:30. And I sat there and I had my tea, and I just feel very, very like alone in this world as such. I was like, I'm not going out drinking, I'm not going watching football, it doesn't interest me. I don't really have many, you know, groups of friends where I can go, oh, shall we go out for a drink, or shall we go and do this? And I was like, my life has revolved around being healthy and fit and making other people healthy and fit and happy for so long. And even to the point where, because this is where the nihilism kicks in, it's like, well, yeah, I want to go and socialise and stuff, but I also don't want to drink, and I don't want to, because I know how I'm going to feel if I do that. And I also like to be in bed for 9:15. So like, I'm like, well, what am I doing? What am I doing all this health thing for? Because if I'm not happy and I'm not getting that connection that I feel like I need, why am I being so healthy? And then like, it lasted a few hours. I went and had what did I have? Did I have a bottle of beer? I think I had a bottle of beer. Or I might not have even had a bottle of beer. I can't remember. But I went and had a shower, and I was like, I felt all right then. I was like, oh, okay, now I'm getting to bed. Now I woke up in the morning, felt good. It was just like a cloud that passed over. But I really got sucked into that cloud.
Have you always had that mode of thinking? Has it always sort of persisted?
Yeah, for a long time, as far as I can remember.
Have you come to any reasoning of why that is a constant thought that comes back and bites you?
There's one thing that because when I had the experience of nearly passing away, of how beautiful it was and how meaningful that was,
yeah,
it kind of nothing kind of lives up to that. So so therefore I know that at the end of this there is peace. So therefore when I'm experiencing these feelings of non-peace, like turbulence in my mind, I'm like, yeah, but eventually it's all and I'm gonna feel good and at peace. And I feel like, you know, when you've had a hard week at work and you're looking forward to that weekend, that one day where you can just turn off. That's how I feel life is. You work so hard just so you can look forward to that turn off at the end. And that's probably the thought that's kind of, you know, like bacteria maybe.
Yeah,
but I don't know.
Because I twisted it on its head, I don't see it as a bad thought. I've had that death experience and that other realm, and it's so much stronger, so much more concrete than this world. This is like fake in my eyes. It doesn't feel real. But inside of that, I go, well, I'm here now. There's sort of, I'm trapped in, we could see it as purgatory, but that means I don't have to take it as serious as I make it and as I've seen it before. It's not as I've got to make everything jovial, because, you know, Chrissy may see it in a different light, and having a family may be the most important possible thing that she can ever conceive past that. And I need to play with that too. I need to make sure she's happy in that existence. But my true deep down self goes, I'm going to be done soon. This is a blip in the timeline of the grand scale of things. We mean nothing. We are a little tiny speck. There's been dinosaurs on this very planet. There's going to be the most futuristic thing we could never conceive coming up. It doesn't...
In the next 5 years.
Yeah, literally. And it doesn't matter. Nothing matters. We are just matter.
Yeah.
And inside of that, you know, there's, I'd say 80%, 90%, maybe more of the people that are just so stuck in this is all there is. You know, I can touch this table, I can touch this tripod. This is all that's real. Because we've seen a little bit past that, behind the looking glass, down the rabbit hole, we know it's not the only thing that exists. Here's
another thing. I think part of that, your thought process there, and how I think sometimes of there's other things and we can't see it, and I think that's part of the problem, because we're so focused on this other that we can't actually prove or see. I mean, we could prove it with science, can prove parts of it, but we can't actually see it. It's not really real. So therefore we're constantly thinking about things that aren't really reality, physical reality. So we're wasting all of our time, and all of a sudden I'll get into this concept of,
Well, just from that, that's what I was saying. Because of that, I've gone, well, this is all I have got at the minute. This is all I can deal with. So I'm going to make it as mental, as cool, as wild, as me as I can. So that's the slip to what you're saying, is I've gone that way. I've gone, because I don't see it as so serious, it's took all the pressure away. Everything I go to do now, I do it as, oh, this is going to be fun. How am I going to make this as fun as possible? And what you were saying earlier about, you know, you've got either the health idea of things, of you want to get to bed by 9:30, you want to eat well, you don't really want to go out and get sloshed and on it, or the other way, you've not got those friends to go and get sloshed and on it like we used to do in Ripley back in day. There's a very limited spectrum. There's so much other in that possible reality that you could be doing too, in my opinion. You know, have you been fishing? Have you been to Uganda? Have you been to Thailand and chilled on it? Do you know what I mean? That isn't an attack. I just mean there's so much possibility inside of it that maybe when you went fishing for the first time ever and you go, oh my God, it's not just peacefulness, but you're going in with a bit of a purpose. You've got a reason to be there. And that feeling when the what's it called, the buoy or the thing, it starts dipping down, you've got a fish, you go mad, and there's this thrill. That might be your thing. Then
you pull the fish out, it's got a hook stuck in its mouth.
Yeah,
like,
you don't, okay.
I'm just going to flip it round for you there.
You don't need to go.
I know what you're saying.
Thing.
I think because I'm building a business and working so hard to do that, and it takes up a lot of time, that there isn't much time to do those things.
I get you.
So I do want to travel the world. I'd love to. How do you travel the world when you're trying to build a business in it? And there is ways of doing it. But I think I'm just a bit stuck, mate. I think what I really want and what I've been craving is human connection that's not based around business or success or fitness, but that doesn't quite make me feel crap the next day. And that's what I've been craving, and that's what I think I lack in life at the minute.
That's the first key to getting through it, isn't it? Understanding it. You know what you want. You're very aware to that. So, you know, there's places that people want to feel that too. You should have come here on the weekend, man. All invited. But honestly, it's that having that tribe, isn't it? It's having those set of people where you can feel completely at ease, completely at one, and there's no hidden agenda behind it. There's nothing else other than I just want to feel free at the minute.
No expectations.
Yeah, that's a great word.
With business, you always expect something off your service provider. You're expecting a service, and a damn good one at that. Whereas friends, it should be no expectations. Relationships as well shouldn't be expectations. I think that's something I kind of want to go off on a segue, to be fair, because expectation creates unhappiness. It really does. If you expect me to be on time, I expect Zak to be on time, you're leaving yourself open to trauma, because I might get lost on the way, or I might get stuck, or this morning I had to fill up petrol, I didn't realise. And then you'll get angry, and then you create resentment, inside you. But also, you expecting onto me creates resentment from me towards you. So I'm like, why is Mikey expecting so much of me? I've got my own things to do. And that's what I want. I want connection without expectation. I don't want to have to provide a service. I don't want to have to tell anybody about health. I don't want anybody to ask me questions about health. I want to have a good time. And I'm not sure where I can get that yet.
If you was talking to you now, or you were speaking to somebody that feels a very similar way, do you have any thoughts or ideas on how you could go down that path?
Stop being a pussy. I think I'd ask myself, the first thought that come to me is, what is it you want? Do you want to be fit and healthy and have energy and be successful? Do you want, or do you want to, I don't know. I don't know. I don't think I'll be able to give myself any advice. I think I'd advise myself to try and find something to do, just to switch off. But at the same time, the other part of me says, but then you're just going to get back and feel the same. So I think it's balance. It comes down to, doesn't it?
And maybe finding them people and saying to them, listen, this is what I need. Can you give me that? Or are you on a mission at the minute? Do you want to just only be succeeding, only be achieving? And then, okay, maybe I can't spend that time with you, but I can do the achieving thing with you, and I love that. But I do need an escapism friend at the minute. And just being...
Hi, looking for... if anyone's listening to this or watching this podcast, I'm looking for escapism friends.
And just being very straight up with it. Do you know what I mean?
Has anybody got any mushrooms? Looking to escape.
Give me something to get off my head at.
If I get messages now, hi, I can sort you out some mushrooms. Yeah. I'm on that.
But I do think that's very real. We're in different lines of business, different lines of life, but we connect so strongly on this, and I love this as both our therapy place. I need to come and find a place that I can confide in and feel good in and be understood in. Rapping now, brother. Then I've got the family side, and I have to give balance to that. I have to go, no, I can't just do business. I can't just work. I've got to give this daughter the time that she deserves and needs. So that's an element that I've got to be very aware and conscious of. And same with Chrissy. And then I really do have to smash the business thing, because all the events coming back up now, we've got a vintage fair on, we've got the buskins on, it's just going to be so constant and busy. If I do just go, sack it all off, no, I've got a family, what you on about? I let everybody down who's bringing clothes to the vintage fair. If I don't advertise it, nobody's come, nobody's made money. It's just not fair on people. So life is a huge balancing act. You've got to be really wise and aware to it. And that's the thing, is people that I've lost in the past, I've got really good friends that only wanted escapism, but they wanted it all the time. And because they enjoyed it so much with me, they were like, are we chilling tonight? Are we chilling tonight? And because I kept saying no, they took it as an attack on them. And then I just had to have a really genuine conversation. Is like, I've got all these elements that I just explained to you then. I really can't at the minute. I love you as a brother. I love you as a sister. I really love you, but I can't do that anymore at the minute. I've got this going on. And it was so heavily understood that when we did go out to the pub together, just had a drink, have a catch up, see what I've been getting up to, it was beautiful, because the understanding was there. It wasn't I was avoiding them and I just hid away from the text messages. We had that chat. So I suppose being straight up with people and saying, do you know what, if you're in this space at the minute and you're feeling like you want to just go to the cinema, go to do something fun, get away together and not have to think too much, being upfront and honest about it, and just putting it out there to people, and the right ones will come along.
I think my problem is instead of telling people I'm looking to get out and do some socialising, I just keep it to myself and dwell in this cloud of negativity, and then I kind of just ruminate on that, and that's probably the issue there. It's not actually communicating. So I'm a big believer in communication. I haven't once said to you, Mikey, I need some chill out time. You free for a drink or anything? I've never asked you. I've not even asked you. So, but then I'm sat here saying, oh, no one's. So it's my own problem that needs viewing differently.
There must be an element there, man, and we've all been there as well, you know. you think what everyone else is thinking, and they're probably in a very different path, a very different line at the minute, not thinking at all about what you think they're thinking. So
that's why I want to get back to the present moment, Mikey, because I've been so busy thinking and not actually doing.
Yeah,
I've been stuck in thought and I've not been doing. I've not been asking. I've not been talking. I've just been, and I think I've become quite egotistic, because it's an egotistic thing to think, oh, I know what he thinks. He thinks like I'm thinking. No, you don't know shit. You've only got your own thoughts. So, yeah.
I think from this episode, dude, I think there's a lot for both to take away, and hopefully for the audience. I don't know why I'm looking up there. That's for yours. There's a lot to take away inside of that, and I just believe this from what we were saying. There's always another way of looking at something. There's always an answer. It's just not in front of your face. It doesn't mean it's not there. So when you're stuck in an unhealthy pattern, an unhealthy place, you don't know what to think, you need a moment away and go and speak to somebody that's neutral, like not a friend, not a family member, nothing like that, but you can find and seek it, and they might just give you that answer that you were looking for. And it's always there, it's always exists, and it's just what the answer is helping you meta program, think it a different way through, and it's there, man, it exists.
And that's the podcast in a wrap, and I feel like I've been cancelled into a better way of thinking.
Vice versa,
if you enjoyed this this council session, this podcast, please drop us a like, share the podcast with someone that you feel might need this information to help them. Follow us at Rhythmical Mike, at Zap Coach, at Words and Wisdom Podcast. Peace.
Big love, guys. There's always another way. Peace.